Hey y'all, it's me, Jay Eastwood. I hope y'all will forgive us for the quality of the audio that you are about to subject your ears to. It is truly a horror. With that being said, we had some technical difficulties with our mic setup. I promise you all it will not happen again. If it does, I blame Ben. Well, anyways, enjoy.
Welcome to PeanutButter&Triggered. I'm Scott, joined by my two co-hosts.
Hey, I'm Jay Eastwood. What's up, dog?
I'm Ben. Yep.
And today we're going to be doing a little horror talk. Actually, I think we kind of forgot. We talked about a horror episode like months ago, I think, but we just forgot about it. I think we all enjoy horror, so it's kind of cool to talk about it. We might even turn it into 2 episodes depending on how this one goes.
Yeah, why not?
So we're going to tell you a few of our favorite horror movies and talk a little bit about the old horror movies we may or may not have seen.
And kind of like the influence from the early days to now, like how it's kind of changed and
for sure, 100%
impacted the whole movie culture.
Movies, horror movies that made us laugh and horror movies that made us shit our pants.
And horror movies that used to make us shit our pants but now make us laugh. I don't know why that.
Oh, it's supposed to be this one.
Well, real quick before we get into that, I just want to bring up that we all experienced a pretty magical moment today. Our friend Scotty Doo here had
Talk about horror.
Pretty epic meltdown over a burrito today.
I truthfully have never seen you angry in my life until today.
I wasn't actually.
He was so upset
don't you
that
dare lie.
He had the grandma arm, like his
You lie.
rapper pointed it out.
He looked like a little teapot.
As he's picking these onions and peppers, because they swore to him the beef burrito with beef and
So
cheese.
I'll preface this. I lack the ability to smell. So as a result, my sense of taste is all thrown off. I don't like alcohol. I don't like mustard. Mustard will make me throw up. Sour cream, hate it. So whenever I go to a restaurant, I always specifically ask, what's on this? And I'm really good about it because I don't want to have something bad. So I went over to this Mexican joint, and I asked,
Muchos.
Yeah, Muchos Gracias on 82nd.
No, thank you.
I asked, hey, what's on the burrito? And the lady's like, shredded beef.
They should call themselves.
I was like, is that all that's on there? She's like, yeah, just shredded beef. I was like, all right, let me get one of those and add some cheese, because just beef sounded kind of gross. So anyway, I get it, and I get it back, and it's filled with peppers and onions, and it was so disgusting. I was triggered.
He was legit so upset that I thought he was going to start chanting "Build the Wall." Like, he was so mad.
And you know what the other thing too is? I saw him picking all these ingredients out. They look delicious.
They did.
They look so gross.
Peppers of every color, just buried in all the shredded beef with delicious cheese.
And it turned the burrito into like a 6-inch diameter burrito into like just 2 inches.
Well, and then
a flaccid tortilla.
The other thing too, that tortilla, after it cools down and after it's been like 20, 30 minutes, it looks like raw hide, like a chew toy that you give a dog.
For sure.
Part of the whole thing is I was so excited for Muchos Gracias all day, and I went to lunch super late, like my stomach hurt, and I asked to go to lunch like 4 times, and they're like, no, sorry, we already have like 3 people on lunch. And finally I'm like, yes, I get Muchos Gracias, and I get there and it's just trash.
The best part was it got progressively more expensive as his anger increased. The madder he got, the more.
For the record, $8.98.
Wait, he was like, "This was $8. I can't believe I threw $8." And then he was like, "This was $9."
Yeah.
And now it was $25.
Jeez.
I never said $25.
Yes, you did. Anyway, I wish you all were there. It was my favorite moment with Scott so far. So thank you for that.
It looked
my
delicious.
Misery and my demise. No one ate it. I threw it all away.
Oh.
Just how upset you are.
So disgusting.
I've never seen you so mad. I can't believe this. I'm going to go there and talk to the manager.
I never said that. I said I was going to leave a Yelp review.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was what I wanted to say.
Okay. Well, the first thing.
Also, no, we'll leave feral ladies.
Yeah.
We got a little
We'll
news.
plug that later.
We got a little news, not a ton. One interesting piece of news and other things. I don't know if anybody knows about the German government. The German government won't allow swastikas. So for years, games have been censored in Germany because they're not allowed to show swastikas because they're all like still triggered about swastikas. Only now they're finally allowing people to do swastikas in video games and movies. So. Big news.
What did they do for like Wolfenstein and stuff back in the day?
They would just edit it, and instead of a swastika, it had like a cross, like an iron cross.
They should have just done like a red armband.
That's basically, well, they do a red armband with like a different logo on it. Like, we know what it is. Like, are you really censoring it that much, you know? They couldn't have a
should have
swastika.
to censor it. Fuck those guys.
Wait,
Why?
no, you know what's so that your problem in this?
Oh, okay, no, I see the problem because then people think that it never happened.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
You censor to the point where you don't remember how horrible your
never
culture
mind.
was for a minute. So I watched a documentary. It was that Michael Moore one where he's talking about like where to invade next. He was talking about how like America's not the greatest country, and he went to Germany, and they had this very visible thing where they would always acknowledge that the Holocaust happened.
Mm-hmm.
So it's weird to me that they're saying now that
This is weird, huh?
because I've heard that Germany makes a point to always not bring it up a lot, but never be like, hey, we never did this.
It's set as a reminder to never be like that.
I
Never
think-
do it again.
I think in their media it was less they were trying to censor their media in terms of showing depictions of it. It was more of no one was allowed to have a swastika. Like, you're not, like, if there were any
Can you
remnants
say
of that.
swastika again?
Swastika.
Okay.
Swastika.
And
I've heard like 3 different versions from each of you.
That's just your name scrambled up. Watkins.
Scotstica, Scotsawats.
you got me there.
Skowastika.
Just like Voldemort and Tom Riddle.
It's your new nickname, Skowastika.
But yeah, I mean, that's kind of interesting. A video game called Through the Darkest of Times is going to be one of the first games to ever actually have a German game that's going to have a swastika in it.
Hey, there it
So,
is.
I mean, that's kind of cool. The only other piece of news I have, which will be interesting to very few of our listeners, but some of them, is NVIDIA announced its new graphics card, the 2080 Ti.
No, that's for gaming folk. That's huge news. I think that NVIDIA has been kind of teasing at
for a
something
long
big
time.
for like the last 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah, the 1080, which is the model before, this is the 2080. The 1080 has been around for quite some time, and everyone's been really excited. This is an 11 gig card. It's crazy. It's over $1,200 for just the card itself. What I'm actually more excited for is the fact that the costs on 1080 are going to go down because people are going to want a 2080. So that's cool for me because I'm not going to buy a 2080.
I don't know what any of that means.
I was expecting a whoa.
The only thing I remember, like I don't know anything about PCs or anything. I remember the thing you would put into your N64 that would increase the graphics.
The RAM,
Yeah, it was the little thing.
The little red one, the little red thing you put.
My mom would never buy it, but I remember being jealous and not knowing why I was jealous because my friend had it and I didn't.
If you go online and you look at what games actually use it, it's very, very, very few.
Like Majora's Mask.
Yeah, it's like very few, and there's not much of a difference. But anyway, I mean, that's kind of big news. I don't really have anything else other than that. We're kind of in a lull right now when it comes to gaming news in general.
Hence the reason why we've been picking other topics. And
We don't want to
we've
be
kind of-
boring.
Yeah, we've broadened ourselves to more than just games. It's more of an entertainment podcast.
Yeah, and I mean, next month we should be kind of back onto more games.
We'll come full circle.
Red Dead Redemption 2 comes out next month. Fallout comes out next month. I don't know about you guys, but I'm super pumped for Red Dead, and I think we should make a posse.
Video game news, not necessarily news, but kind of like, I guess, a little mini review, I guess. The games that are out right now for PlayStation
I
Plus,
just downloaded them.
I've downloaded both of them. Scott played Mafia 3 again. Yeah. Or is it for your first time?
It's first time.
Yeah, it's an excellent game.
Have you played through it?
I've played bits and pieces of it. Right now I'm stuck on Dead by Daylight. I have unbelievable amounts of fun with that. They are updating that thing left and right. There's tons of cool contests and events. It's a fun game. So if you haven't downloaded it, download it while you have the chance. There are tons of different characters. I think in both games, right? Do you get characters in both games?
Characters?
Yeah. So I know that there's different character skins for Dead by Daylight. Did you get to play with different people in Mafia 3?
Not that I've discovered.
I heard
It's
a
just the
rumor
same
that
guy.
there's another guy by the name of. Just kidding.
I should have known he was setting that up.
I was watching your finger over the screen. You were
I
just,
wish you could be Chaz Pepperoni.
You were just waiting.
One thing that I did find very interesting is at the beginning of Mafia, right off, like before anything pops up, it says it's a message from the team that created Mafia, and it says there is a lot of like blatant racism in this game, and we wanted to depict do a realistic depiction of New Orleans in the 60s. And so there's definitely, you play as, I think someone from the Dominican Republic, but right at the beginning, Dominican Republic.
Just this super conservative guy from the island.
Yeah.
I am a Dominican Republican.
But from the Dominican Republic. And even though you're not actually, everyone says you're black, even though, I mean,
They're black.
they're black.
Yeah.
They're actually black?
No, Dominican Republicans would be more Hispanic, right?
That's what
It's like a mix of both. Like, they have black skin, but they...
Really?
Yeah,
Like
there
Haitians?
there was like
Oh.
a definite, like, this is really, like, dark times, but there were definitely slave trade back then.
I get it.
Gotcha.
Not back during Mafia 3, but, like...
Either way, they talk
about
about,
The islands.
Yeah.
For sure.
there's a lot of racist stuff in it, so I thought it was interesting that they prefaced the game with that. But anyway,
Well,
onwards.
because everyone gets triggered nowadays, so you
Yep.
gotta set the tone. Hey, don't. You know, when he said that, like, when he said that one thing, you know, have you ever seen that video of the guy who's like, "This tree's an aspen because that's what it is."
Yeah.
That's neat.
The nature guy?
You should do that. That's neat. Would be a good drop.
There you
Because he
go.
was like, "This game is really racist," and it was, that's neat.
Well, this is a good time to shout at the panda. He loves Trump.
Yeah.
Oh, you ruined it. I had a good setup for that.
Dang it.
You god. No, it was not, Ben.
No, but seriously, shout out to Panda, even though he is so unbelievably Republican.
I was gonna say before Scotty ruined it. Hey, shout out to the guy who
Other than Kanye West or whatever.
No. I was gonna say the only thing he likes more than this podcast is fucking Donald Trump. Panda. And then we clap. Oh, not a laugh.
I don't have a clap.
Oh,
I'm gonna clap.
You get a clap.
Anyway, thanks, Panda.
Show me potato salad. But anyway, we're talking about a little bit about horror movies. I think I think it's actually worth note to talk about the early horror movies because I find it to be interesting, and I had an interesting story about my grandma, which always makes me laugh whenever I think about
I have a
this.
story right after you.
Cool. So first off, early horror movies were silent movies. The one that always comes to everyone's mind is Nosferatu, which is like the story of basically a vampire who lures someone to his house. Yep. Nosferatu.
He lures them?
Well, kind of. I think he's selling his castle or something, and they come out to look at it, or he summons them or something. Turns out he's like a vampire.
Yeah.
So
He's like, what's up, guys?
it's really
Guys.
If you go back and
Take
watch
over my
it,
castle.
it's kind of an interesting movie. But so that was like way back. It's laughable now. If you watch it,
They're gonna remake it though.
Wow.
It's
No,
gonna
that
be
should probably
scary.
be cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be super scary.
If they don't turn into just like CGI and fucking lame shit.
That's 1922. That's when that came out.
Damn. It's a
Yeah,
long
so-
time ago.
It's a long time ago.
It's like
even
45 minutes, right? Something like super short by today's standards.
Yeah, I think it was super long though by
By
standards
their
back in the
standards,
day. Yeah. Which is pretty impressive. And I mean, as you kind of move on to like what I would consider like modern. The next part I'm going to talk about is Frankenstein. The reason I'm going to talk about Frankenstein is because my grandma always told me the story. She said that when she was a little girl, she went and saw Frankenstein. It was the first horror movie she ever got to go see. And there's this scene in Frankenstein where this little girl has a flower,
Yeah.
and she tries to give it to Frankenstein, and he grabs her arm and just rips it clean off because he doesn't know his strength. And my grandma said that she had, like, if you watch it now, it's a joke. It's not scary at all. It's hilarious. She's like, here's a flower. And he's like, rips off her arm.
Did it really? And like I remember the flower scene. I thought he just took it. It was like, whoa.
Well, that's what she told me. The one that she watched was, and I remember watching at some
She
point.
watched the blooper reel.
Yeah, probably.
Like Benny Hill.
She said-
in the background.
She said it gave her nightmares for weeks, though. She's like, I was scared of Frankenstein forever.
Well, she needs to come correct with their horror game.
Yeah, that was pretty weak.
Yeah.
That was a dumb movie.
Wait, is your grandmother alive still?
No. We all wait around for the soundbite. Do you have any? You said you had a story.
Watched you. We were just sitting here in silence, like a phone number.
I took this like English literature class. It was a fucking joke. I remember all my friends at work laughed at me because I needed to take an elective, and this is like the only like elective that I could find in such short notice. It was called English Literature, like 291 or something like that, and I never read the subtitle for it. So I showed up, and my English professor was dressed like a vampire. This old lady dressed like a vampire.
Oh no!
So what the fuck is this? There were no seats left in the classroom except for like behind this really hot chick, and so I was summoned to this chair because it's the only one that was available. And then I looked around the entire room. There were like, weird like goth kids, the kind of kids that like just hung out in the courtyard during lunchtime in high school, and just like kind of smelled up the place. Anyways, there was this other girl with like tattooed like vampire fang marks on her neck.
Oh my god!
And they wore like skateboarding shoes and like Tweety bird shirts and pajama bottoms, just filled with those kind of people.
Seaside hoodies.
Yeah. If you come out to Oregon, seaside hoodies are a bad sign.
Or my trash.
Yeah. But the entire class was about vampire literature and movies and werewolves.
Sounds
And
fun. I would like that class.
No, you wouldn't, because the required reading were like Twilight books. You had to read 5 novels, and they also made us watch a bunch of movies. I saw Vampire from Brooklyn, that was tight, and I watched Blade. And
It's like the worst vampire movie.
they were like,
Not scary at all.
pick from this list of like 200 vampire movies. I was like, okay, I'm watching that, and like pick from this list of like 15 vampire books, which were like all the Twilight series and like just really shitty ones. And I finished them. I said I finished them. I never read any of them. I only watched a few movies. I think Nosferatu was one of them. So that's why I kind of got reminded about Nosferatu. It was terrible though. The half of the class dropped the class like one weekend.
Wow.
Do you guys remember Rackham Willie, the guy from the Damn Show?
Rackham.
So the funny thing, Rackham did a Halloween edition, but I'm thinking of vampires. And he jumped out of the bushes and goes, "I want to suck yo dick." And that will be my fondest vampire memory. That's the most terrifying / hilarious vampire out there.
Say that again?
The best vampire.
I want to suck yo dick.
That's a drop.
That's
There
nice.
Dirty.
There's a lot of great classic horror movies, but I think for us, we'll be talking about our favorite. There's a couple older ones I know I'd like to talk about, but not that old. One thing that I was telling Ben about this, I watched this documentary one time that was talking about Halloween, and the first Halloween, and apparently they had released Halloween with no score, which we all know Halloween has like a very, like everyone knows the Halloween music and the scoring, and they released it with no score, and people were like laughing at it. They weren't scared at all, and so they brought it back, and they're like, what do we do to this? And they scored it, and then all of a sudden people watch the exact same movie just with a score, and it was 100 times scarier.
It's awesome because it's so iconic. Like even in Dead by Daylight, you know that the killer is near you because you'll start hearing the Michael Myers music.
That's awesome.
And same sort of thing with like the other killers in the video game. Like if you're near Freddy, you'll hear like the Freddy jingle. And then
Jeepers
those are the ones I
Creepers.
can think of.
Jeepers Creepers.
They don't have that game, or they don't have that character in that game.
Oh, I didn't know that game had like characters from all over the horror universe.
Yeah, they have like 6 or 7 like original characters, and then like 3 or 4
actual horror.
It's pretty awesome. I didn't know that.
That's why I'm trying to play with you guys.
It's free.
I'm cool. It's free.
Yeah.
I would probably pay for that. I love horror movies. Horror.
Fun. How do you say it?
Horror. You got any horror?
Ben's from the East Coast, and so he doesn't know how to pronounce things.
No, I'm like a hybrid man. I produce.
Ben's an old Jewish man. You got any horror game?
What a horror! And I say kiss my ass. I say ass. Like when I'm not thinking. Like if I'm in like a road rage incident, I'm like, hey, kiss my ass. And they're like, oh my god, he's from Jersey. Like,
I don't want to mess with him. He's from Jersey.
When I first heard you talk about the pustule that would grow from your anus, and you
that
talk
comes
about
up a lot on this thing.
Yeah, you talk about the pus-filled sack, and you would say my ace. So I was like, oh, what the hell?
I got the single ass. My ass. My ass.
You sound like Pablo Francisco's like character.
My ass.
The stripper.
Hey there. Like,
I have the cyst on my ass.
I'm gonna start saying
Sound like Keanu Reeves.
I think that's what he was going for.
Sure.
But we're going to talk about our favorite movies. A couple of them. We've come prepared.
No, we haven't.
Yeah, I'll say we literally were like, when we prepare, we suck.
Let's riff.
Okay. Riff your favorite. One of your favorite movies. I'm not triggered, actually.
Hey, stop it.
All right, Ben. Talk about one of yours.
Well, so what was the idea that I?
All right.
All right, Jose, or Jay, talk about one of your favorites.
So I have a few of them that I wanted to bring up. These are like borderline campy, like B horror movies.
He loves B movies.
Shut up.
So do I.
They're B to you.
I have a good B movie story after you finish yours.
Okay. So the first two that I want to talk about, one of them was Monkey Shines, because I know that the two of you are somewhat familiar with that one.
I just remember seeing the VHS. I never
The
watched
cover, right? It
Yeah.
fucked you up. It was scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, and explain the cover.
Well, it's one of the monkey toys that clap with the symbols.
Yeah. I don't know why or how that's so frightening to people, but I get it.
It's
totally,
its face.
It's
That
unsettling.
monkey looked scarier. It had like sharp teeth or something. It was something that wasn't like the Toy Story one.
Yeah, it was unsettling. And guess who made that movie?
Wes Craven.
No.
Stephen King.
No.
Brett Ratner.
Stop guessing. George A. Romero.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, we just looked it up today.
Yeah, isn't that nuts?
He's dead.
He's so dead.
They're all dead.
Yeah,
they're not
all the greats are dead.
No. John Carpenter's still around. He put his
Everybody
blessing.
dies.
He put his blessing on the new Halloween film written by Danny McBride and Jody Hill, which I'm very excited to see, by the way.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, we should go
So, Monkey Shines, let me just give you like a brief synopsis of this. Basically, some guy who, is in the prime of his life gets paralyzed. He becomes a quadriplegic and he becomes dependent on a helper monkey.
I remember seeing parts of this.
Yeah.
I remember this.
So he gets his helper monkey, and his helper monkey develops like a
The bloodlust.
kind of a bloodlust, but it's
How did it become alive?
what? The
It was an actual monkey.
It's a regular monkey.
Oh!
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there were like experiments that were done on it.
Yeah.
That made it.
I remember this
super
now, yeah.
intelligent. Anyways, it becomes very possessive of its human host or whatever. And
His owner?
His owner, yeah. So eventually, this guy who's a quadriplegic ends up falling in love with the monkey trainer, who I can't remember who it's played by. I can't even remember if she's really attractive, but let's just say she's like 80s attractive. And this part I remembered like very fondly because my brother Mikey had his friend over. This giant redhead kid named Robert, and he has all these inappropriate reactions towards like any movie in like inappropriate times. There's a sex scene, quadriplegic, and this
Wow.
and this trainer, and this guy goes down on this monkey trainer, and the monkey's watching, but unbeknownst to them while they're getting it on, and Robert we were sitting there like silent, but Robert would be like, "Oh yeah," and it was just like, "What are you doing, man? This is weird." So, anyways, fast forward to the end, he just basically has to find out a way to save everybody before the monkey kills everybody.
As a quadriplegic guy.
As a quadriplegic.
So there wasn't even a toy in it?
Huh?
That toy that's on the cover wasn't even part of the movie?
No.
Oh, bummer. I always thought that monkey was...
Oh, and the ending
I never knew it was
scene-
an actual monkey.
Oh, the ending scene is terrible. I'm just gonna say spoiler alert because this has nothing to do with the actual movie itself. It's just the ending scene is crazy.
Yeah.
The guy's getting operated on to hopefully like cure his paralysis, which doesn't really exist. Like,
Yeah.
you can't really do much about
No.
that. But they're about to cut into him, and he prepped him for the OR. And then all of a sudden, they see this monkey like rip out of this guy's back.
Wow.
Crazy.
Was that what causes paralysis? The monkey in his
No. It was just a really crazy way to end the movie.
Huh.
back? It was a shocker ending that didn't make sense.
Yeah, made no sense.
Perfect. I love those.
You said that you had a story to tell after I told about Monkey Shines, or was it about?
Oh yeah, it was a B movie. It's so me and my buddy Nick, we used to once a week we did what we called our midnight movie, and he lived pretty far away from me, so we'd hop on like a voice chat like Skype, and we'd time up a movie, and we'd both watch a movie on Netflix at the same time, and we would just kind of Mystery Science Theater it, and we'd talk through the movie, and we would always go as deep into Netflix as humanly possible. It was low quality, horrible B movie.
We ought to do that.
Yeah, we should. And I went so deep. There's this of course, this movie starts with these teenagers. I can't remember the movie at all. This is the only scene I remember. And the reason I remember it is because it's pretty disturbing, even for a B movie. The movie starts with this lady running through the woods, and she's pregnant. And she's like running and running, and some guy's chasing after her. And she falls down, and this is the part that gets crazy. She's laying on her back, and he jumps up and like double foots right on her pregnant belly.
You told me about this one.
And it just shoots out like blood and gore right out of her skirt. Like,
that sounds so awesome.
it was like
It's like stepping on a ketchup packet.
exactly. And I always remember this scene. I was like, wow, that started off.
Wait, what was it called?
I can't remember the name.
Dude, figure it out.
I will. I'll figure it out
on replay.
I'll figure it out.
Dude, that
But
sounds
yeah,
so funny.
But it was a horrible B movie. But
Just the guy jumping with both feet in full force. Like,
yeah, it's horrible to think of. But in the B
No,
movie,
it's
we
so
were both
funny.
laughing because it was so ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think it sounds lovely.
Speaking of ridiculous, another movie that I really enjoyed when I was growing up was a movie called Deadly Friend. You guys ever seen this?
Mm.
Terrible idea for a movie. I guess there's this girl, like neighborhood girl, dies or something like that, and they bring her back, but she's like kind of a robot on the inside or something. They bring her conscious back, yeah. Anyway, so because she was supposed to remain dead, there's like a twisted way that like she's living out her life now after death, and she starts killing everybody. One of the characters in there is Mama Fratelli from the Goonies. I don't know her real name.
That's it.
And the movie was created by Wes Craven.
How
so
convenient.
Dope.
check that out.
That sounds pretty dope.
You know what's funny with your whole thing with your buddy? Like, so when I was in, I think middle school, me and this kid named Dusty, we would have this thing called Horror Fest, and it was once a month. And we split between his house and my house, and we would have a sleepover. And we would go to Beyond Video, which was our local video joint. We didn't have like Blockbuster
Yeah,
when I grew up. And we would just peruse the horror aisle, and we would find the most fucked up looking covers. And we're like, that's the one, that one, and that one. And we would just go watch them, and we'd watch them till like 4 in the morning, and our parents couldn't bother us. Like, we just got to stay up late and watch horror movies because it was the weekend. And we would watch, like, dude, I saw the most nonsensical, fucking dumb shit horror movies, and it was so great. I loved it. There was the one called The Brain, and all I remember, it was this brain that was like the size of a kitchen, and it was just eating this person, and the cover of it was just the brain's face, and it kind of had a smile with sharp teeth, and there was 2 legs hanging out of it, and it would just go, oh, no, and just gnaw on people like a chew toy. I saw this one about these cybernetic dogs that had the dude from Aliens in it, and Big Legend, Lance Henriksen.
Oh
He
yeah,
had to fight these cybernetic dogs because it was just robot dogs in the future. I saw so many just dumb, obscure B movies.
Have you guys seen that? It's a video that goes around the internet. It's some shitty B movie where the kid turns giant,
No.
and like the mom walks in to talk to him, and he's like 5 times the size of any human, but he's a kid, and he's like, "Get the fuck out! Get the fuck out!" And she's like just smiling as she walks out. Look it up. Look up
smiles at him.
giant kid cusses or it like.
What?
Just look it up. I'm telling you, you'll see it. It's popular. Giant kid cusses at lady. Just put something like that. I'm telling you, it'll pop right up.
So while he's looking for this, I want to go over I want to talk about one of the most. Well, when I was a kid, I saw it when I was like 6 years old. Do you guys remember the movie Critters?
That was before my time.
No.
Why has no one seen Critters? It had Billy Zane in it.
One sec. Go back up to the top. I can't see.
Yeah, these are just.
I'll find it. Don't worry.
Yeah, what the
Keep
hell?
doing your thing.
Well, anyway, so Critters, it had Billy Zane in it. It had, I feel like one other, maybe not. So anyway, it's filmed in small town like Midwest America, and the spaceship crashes, and they're hunted by these galactic bounty hunters, and the spaceship's full of these little balls of fur with faces, and they eat everything, and they shoot spikes out of their back. And there's this scene where the mom's doing dishes, and she looks up, and it's a pitch black evening, and 2 red eyes come up, and they're just staring at her. And I've never, to this day, I swear to God, if I'm in the country and it's dark outside, I will not look directly out of a window because that fucking movie fucked me up.
Fuck off.
At 6 years old. I won't. If I go back home and visit, and I look out of a window, I literally do like this.
He's turning
Like,
his head
out of
like,
my
looking out of
peripheral
his eyes.
because I'm so
Can't do
scared
it.
a critter's gonna get me. But the other funny part about that movie, those intergalactic bounty hunters, when they go to a planet, they watch the current media, and they pick out someone to take the persona of because they can morph.
Oh, okay.
And they morph into this band and it's like an 80s power ballad band. And I hope one day we can listen to it on the podcast. But it's this song, and it's called "Power of the Night." The streets are calling. And they both have mullets, and they show up in this small town. They're like, "We're here for the critters." And it's these two like musicians.
Are they like Scandinavian too?
No, they just show up, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, it's that band!" And they're like, "Get the fuck out of the way!" And they shoot them.
Jesus Christ,
dude, you guys should watch Critters. Like,
Okay.
Billy
What
Zane
year
was
is
in
it?
another.
Billy Zane gets killed off really fucking early too.
Oh wow,
Because his dick bit off, or like at least,
dang.
well, they imply he like the critter jumps on his crotch because they're literally just balls of fur. Have you guys ever been to the
like a Furby.
way worse? Have you guys ever been to the Pop Culture Museum in Seattle?
No.
Yeah.
So they have a critter in that museum in the bottom floor. By the way, on the theme of horror, one of the coolest spots you can visit. The whole basement is oddities and like props from horror movies.
Yeah.
They have the full xenomorph suit from Alien.
They have Michael Jackson's Thriller zombie.
Yep. They have the original script for Alien. They have so much cool stuff. They have a face hugger, like one of the models.
Ooh, I hate those.
Oh, dude, it's one of the coolest places I've ever been. Every time, and then in the top floor, they have all these sound booths, and you can go record music. They have a full drum kit with like a double bass pedal. I'm there for like 5 hours every time I go up there. It's $30 again. It's super expensive, but it's my favorite thing to do
They
in
also have
Seattle.
like a fantasy one where you can see Game of Thrones
And like The
stuff.
Hobbit and Lord of the Rings.
Mhm, it's cool.
It's-
Oh, by the way, the name of the video, Giant Rude Kid. I found it.
All right. So speaking of Billy Zane, you're gonna have to help me out with this because I remember a movie called Demon Knights. Do you remember that one?
Tales from the Crypt presents Demon
Yeah,
Knight. It's
so-
not Demon Knights, it's Demon Night. Because it was
That's
a
what I-
night,
that's what I
like
said.
one night. No, you didn't.
Demon Knight. Explain that one.
Well, yeah. Did you ever watch Tales from the Crypt?
I did, but I don't remember this.
So they did two movies. They did Bordello of Blood and they did Demon Knight. Demon Knight was basically, why did the demon... Jada Pinkett Smith was at this place, the guy
Yeah.
from Wings.
Yeah.
Why did the demons come for them? I forgot what it...
Because there was
Oh,
this
'cause they had the
key.
thing.
Yeah. So this guy had this key that had been passed down from.
And it had the blood of Christ in it.
Yeah, exactly.
it had literally.
Yeah,
Literally
it was,
the blood of
like they
Christ.
show a scene of them, like when Jesus is being crucified, they put the vial underneath his foot where he's bleeding out.
Uh-huh.
And if you have this blood and you pour it around a perimeter, you can block the demons away. And yeah, dude, that movie was dope. Billy Zane was like the lead demon in charge of getting this guy.
He was a
I don't even know
good
who
demon.
Billy Zane is, honestly.
He's the guy from Titanic, the rich boy.
Oh, yeah. I got him.
He was in Zoolander, and he was like, "Hey,
Yeah,
Billy
that's
Zane,
right.
want to participate in the walk-off?"
Yeah, he played himself. All right,
So this is 25 seconds. This is what I was talking about. This is another...
Giant Rude Kid.
Yeah, just watch this ridiculous.
All right.
And it's going to be interesting to hear, too.
Well, hopefully the audio is fine because this is like an 80s movie, yeah?
I started to hear it. It sounded okay. It's like...
It sounds terrible.
Where is this big boy?
Oh my god, he's gigantic. Oh my god! Hold on. This kid like he's like Shaquille O'Neal ducking through this like attic bedroom that's at a slant, and he's like sleeping on, or he must have been sleeping on this twin bed, but like he's wearing like one of those sweatsuits.
Yeah.
It looks like a
I want
crop
you
top.
to get the fuck out of here.
The best,
How does this kid know how to say this? He's just a grown boy.
that's the ridiculous thing.
This is young Chaz Pepperoni. Did you hear that voice? I want you to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, and then watch the lady. She just smiles and walks out.
Yeah, like boys will be boys.
Yeah, watch. It's great.
She's like,
Oh my god, I gotta watch this movie. He's get out of here, you bitch!
He's like, wow, he's extremely rude.
Wow,
It's like I want to see that horror movie because it
Yeah.
sounds awesome. It looks awesome.
Now I
What's it
do.
called?
That's awesome.
I don't know. It's just
Yeah, I'll
called
find
Giant
out.
Rude Kid. I've seen that video multiple times. I don't know
I've
what it's
never
from.
seen that.
I wonder if they have a.
Is it even a horror movie, or is it like that Robin Williams movie where he's Jack?
The movie is called Food of the Gods 2.
Okay, there you
Oh, it's
go.
a sequel. I wonder what happened to number
Yeah.
one. Is it like
Jesus.
Troll? They just totally stole the name of a movie so that it could get some media attention.
That is
That's nothing to do with
fucking
it.
crazy, dude.
That was
I don't
funny.
think I've ever
Fuck
seen
outta
anything
here.
like that.
That's what I was saying. Like that. Just that. I've only seen that clip multiple times in my life. But get the fuck out of here!
God, that audio is terrible, though. I'm sorry for those of you listening. You're probably not even going to be able to hear that.
Well, if they, I mean, it's fine.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, I have a couple that I'd like to talk about. One that like fucked my day up when I was a kid was The Thing. Like, that movie was so, like, it was scary. Not you guys have seen The Thing, right?
It's the best horror movie ever made.
Yeah, that's definitely on the, at least near the top of everybody's list.
It's in my top 5 favorite. It's my all-time favorite horror movie, 100%.
It totally withstands the test of time.
Yeah, that scene where they have the defibrillator, and he goes to defibrillate him. He puts both of his arms, and the chest opens up like, and just cuts his hands right off.
And his head just falls off and turns into a spider. It's like,
yeah, because it's so scary because they don't know who is like the Thing, and then when they do change, it's just this horrible amalgamation of.
I know, it's so like gory, and for that time, there was nothing that had ever come out like that.
Dude, the tension in the room when they're doing the blood test with the hot copper wire, holy cow!
Well, that was the thing John Carpenter's really good at. He focuses on dread and he focuses on isolation and paranoia.
Yeah,
like Assault on Precinct 13, which is not a horror movie, it has that same kind of vibe. They're trapped in this prison, all these people surrounding. Halloween, to that extent, has that vibe because Michael Myers is always coming for you.
Yeah.
And Jamie Lee's stuck in that house as he's trying to find her and kill her. John Carpenter is one of the best horror movie directors of all time.
That movie was really awesome, and plus, and to your isolation thing, it's like you're literally in the middle of nowhere at like some Antarctica base. Yeah. That's crazy to me. So that one's one of my like favorite older movies.
Well, you know, one of the coolest things about that movie was the prequel that came out in the 2000s. Was it 2010s, I think?
2011.
In that movie, it ended exactly where the first one began. And
that
dude, as a major fan of that movie, like when that same music started, it was like dun, 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 dun,
yeah,
dun, dun, and then the font came up, and as the credits were rolling. It's the guy, the only two surviving Norwegians on that outpost. They're chasing the dog, the one thing that got away, and they're shooting at it. And it's like, holy shit, dude! This is where the first one started. This is the best way they could have ended this movie. Yeah, and it was such a throwback to fans, and I love throwbacks and the Easter eggs that like do fan service, and that was a big one.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we already talked a little bit about it, but like the practical effects definitely made the 1982 film like excellent. And I'm kind of upset that a lot of movies kind of don't follow in the footsteps like that because CGI kind of ruins a movie in most occasions, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think that other horror movies like, do you guys remember The Fly?
Yeah.
The Fly 2?
Or Alien. Alien had a lot of good practical effects.
Yeah.
Like Alien, I think it's Aliens where the dude gets ripped in half and he's like,
oh god,
it's so brutal. You're like, wow, shit.
The tail comes through, both hands show up, rips him apart.
Yeah.
One side goes flying, and he's still alive because he's a robot.
Yeah.
And he's just like all it's like yellow, like milk blood.
Yeah.
You know,
so who decided robot blood was gonna be?
I know you think it'd be like black, like oil.
Yeah.
And I like it. I like the milk.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's just like gross and.
One thing I can tell you CGI is ruined for horror movies, a specific type of horror movies, ghost movies.
Yeah.
Ghost movies are not scary anymore, other than The Conjuring, which was really scary.
Yeah.
Not a lot of CGI in that movie.
One that I have on my list that I'll bring up because of that, I really liked the first Paranormal Activity.
No.
I loved it.
Not on board.
I loved it because there like isn't any CGI at all.
Yeah, but it's just like the Blair Witch, like the found footage genre. Like
I love that.
It's a cheap genre.
I love it.
You know what? I watched the Blair Witch pretty damn late in my life. I think I watched it a year ago for the first time. It wasn't that bad.
I like the Blair Witch. It scared the shit out of me when I was 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so like that, I just feel like it's a cheap horror method. Like Paranormal Activity, like there's just not a lot of substance to it to me, and it's my opinion. It's not yours. It's fine.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
But
you're wrong.
I said that like I'm actually a little upset right now. No, I honestly don't like the Paranormal Activity in how they were. It was just Hollywood capitalizing on something they realized that worked to like a major scale audience. And every year we got another one. It's just like Saw. It's just like Hostel. Well, not Hostel, but like Saw, where you get this repetitious flow of movies. It's never really. The first one, I'll give you that. It was unique because it was the first one like it.
Yeah.
But after Paranormal Activity 23, it started to lose its jazz. And I just like, but the CGI, and I agree, there was no CGI and stuff. Like a lot of the new Ghost movies, like the Amityville Horror remake.
I
use a lot of
did like that
CGI.
one. I really do actually. It's good.
I think the key with ghost movies is less is more.
Yeah.
That's why I like
Paranormal
Paranormal Activity.
the imagination up to
And Paranormal Activity, you didn't see anything.
Correct.
There was like nothing the whole movie.
Poltergeist.
Yeah, the whole time you see like something move, and the crazy thing is you just be watching a room for like 10
Right.
seconds. Like, what the fuck's gonna happen?
Did y'all see the movie Lights Out? It's a pretty recent horror movie.
Oh, with the blind dude.
No, Lights Out was
That's
was this ghost that as soon as the lights were like it that one scene where like she turns the lights on and it's this thing standing there.
Is it like the Pee Pee Poo Poo Man?
Nope, that's a different movie. And then she turns it back on and the thing's still there, and she turns it off and it's gone.
Yeah.
And then when she turns it on again, it's right in front of
that's
her.
every movie that's ever been made.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this one specifically Lights
This one
Out.
specifically.
Anyway, both of you watch it and shove it up your ass because if you watched it, you
shove
love
up your
it.
ass.
It was a good. It was one of the newest ghost movies that I actually enjoyed and thought did a really good job at innovating.
You know which ones that still kind of creep me out? And they don't necessarily like scare me anymore because I don't like believe in a lot of it. But like around like what was it, 70s, where a lot of those like demon or like satanic movies
Like
started to come
Poltergeist?
out. Like no, like The Exorcist or
Rosemary's
The
Baby.
Omen, Rosemary's Baby. Those ones were scary as hell, man.
Those were the thing that makes those scary is like that could almost happen like near you. Like that could be your next door neighbor who just was like going crazy.
Well, and the other thing too, you just see like pure evil.
Yeah.
That's what scares the shit out of me. It's not that I don't believe in really any of that. I just think that it's disgusting to see like the kind of evil that
Yeah.
that kind of lurks.
Well, those movies make you think of, even if you don't believe in the
Yeah.
devil and stuff, those because the devil is the most tangible horror.
Yeah, the bad guy.
Yeah, he's the most tangible event in horror that could possibly affect me, because in theory, by some, he is real. So when you see a movie like The Exorcist where this innocent person's possessed, you're like, holy shit, dude! Like, and you think about it in your real world life, and you're like, fuck, that's terrifying.
Well, and then just like the really grotesque imagery behind it too, like the barfing, the blood,
Yeah.
that really disgusting part with the crucifix.
When they're breaking, like a lot of those movies, like they will break like the host body like in half.
Yeah.
Or that one scene in The Omen where they're in Rome, and the guy like drives off with all this glass on his truck,
Yeah.
and the glass comes off, and the guy turns around, and the glass chops his head off, and his head rolls upwards. That scene as a kid, I was like, it was one of those that fucked me up a little bit. For
What
sure.
about when the lady jumps off? It's all for you, Damien.
It's all for you. Whack.
Yeah, that's pretty gross.
I got a good movie. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but this is another one of those where it's like you can't escape. The people can't escape, and so it's sketchy. It's called, I think, As Above, So Below. You guys see that
Oh,
one?
it's a found footage one in Paris.
Is it found footage? I couldn't remember if it was or not.
Yeah, I didn't watch it because I literally don't like found footage movies.
Well, it's interesting. They go into these like catacombs, you know, the French or Paris catacombs, and basically,
Well, I don't know, Scott. The French are assholes.
well, yeah, they are.
Where's
I
that
know.
from? Trivia.
I just know the French are assholes.
Oh, I was just kidding. It was from Dumb and Dumber.
A fantastic horror movie.
But oh yeah, so the rumor is, and that was always happened in the Paris underground, is that there was a portal to hell, and that's like still like the thing there.
Sorry.
And that's what happens. They like go into this portal to like the outer realms of hell or whatever. Dude, it's so weird. They're just walking down like this cave, and all of a sudden they go around the corner, and one of the there's a car on fire, and they're like, "What the fuck? We're in the like deep
Underground.
in the catacombs, underground."
How'd that get there, guy?
But the weird thing is, at the end of the movie, when they get out, they climb upwards. It's so weird. They climb upwards out, but they step downwards. What's so funny?
You just started making weird noises into the mic, and I just can't stop
even
thinking
finish
about
what
it.
I'm saying.
I'm listening. You pass.
Well, anyways, so along the same line of like portals to hell, do you guys remember that it was like sci-fi horror Event Horizon?
I don't feel like it stood the test of time. I own that movie. I
Watch
loved it
it
as a
again.
kid. I did. I watched it like 2 months ago.
It scared the shit out of
It
me.
was very creepy as a kid because the scene where they actually finally get where they were in hell and the guy's got his eyes in his hands and he's
Yeah.
speaking Latin, you're like, oh.
Fuck
I've never seen that.
bullshit. That is scary.
It's about
as
this
fuck.
spaceship that's able to do deep space travel. It disappears for what, like 20 years?
Yeah.
And then
Well-
it shows back up.
Yeah.
And
You
then
should just bring it to me and I'll watch it.
Or you can just look it up on the
On
internet.
Netflix? I know I
I
could,
can
but
tell
it
you,
might not be on Netflix.
I feel like it didn't age that well. They end up the deep space travel ended up opening a portal to hell. So these people are trapped. Well, they're not trapped. They get like murdered incessantly, immediately, like in this like orgy fucking murder. Like
Yeah, and it exploits like all of their inner demons, and
the ship does,
The
because
ship
the
does.
ship basically turns into like an aware being from hell.
yeah.
That's the worst. I hate when that happens.
So not only does it do that, but like, well, I was gonna give away the ending. You gotta watch it, at least to give it a chance, man.
Yeah, you can watch it. So one that on the whole hell trend, a newer movie came out 2 years ago. The Witch. Have you seen it?
I have not.
So The Witch is a patchwork film. It takes many folklores of New England lore, like when witches were getting burned alive at the stake.
Yeah.
And it takes all these stories and interweaves them into this one family. And there's this goat that lives on the farm called Black Phillip. And this is literally, dude,
Best name for a goat ever.
it is. It's Black Phillip. And the kids always say that they can talk to Black Phillip. They can whisper to him. And the goat is the sign of Satan. The goat is like universal Satan. And I have never, since probably 20 years old, have I gotten chills like I did. There's a lot of climactic events that happen. And the chick, the young daughter, not the young, she's like the teenage daughter. She goes up to Black Phillip and she's like, "Speak to me, goddammit, speak to me." And this whole movie's done in the old tongue where they say thy and like thine, and that's the only two I know. And
thee.
she hit thee,
Thine.
and she's like, "Speak to me, speak to me." And she gets annoyed and walks away, and the goat goes, "What is it you wish?" And it whispers, and dude, my chills went down my fucking spine.
It's called The Witch.
Yeah, because it.
Oh yeah, it has a goat on the front of it, right?
I think so.
On the
yeah.
cover. I remember. Yeah,
Dude,
I'm gonna watch
the
this.
movies. It's a very slow build, but when the goat speaks back and you realize it is Satan, she's talking to the devil.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, that is one of the creepiest scenes in horror history.
Do you get to see the goat's lips move?
No, it's the camera's focused on the girl, so all you hear is, "What is it you wish?" And you know the goat is talking back, and you're like, dude, just watch it. Don't give me that fucking.
No, yeah, I want to watch it. This sounds really dope.
I'm watching it. What are you talking about?
That's
you
like the
psycho?
best way to. Wait, how corny would it be with the goats like, "Hey, how are you? I'm a
Hey.
goat. I can talk, Mr. Ed." No, the goat whispering off camera, because spoiler alert, all of a sudden a guy approaches behind her, so Black Phillip morphs into Satan as a person, and it's like, damn, dude, this is fucking terrifying. No, but dude, it just heads up, it's slow as fuck. You get bored at certain parts of the movie.
Maybe you should spoil it then.
No, just watch it.
I'm gonna watch it.
That's a big. I did spoil quite a bit for you, just as heads up. But like, you won't get the surprise I did. But dude, that one scene, I give the movie a 6 out of 10. I give that scene a 10 out of 10 because that one scene made the movie worth watching for me.
You guys want to know something interesting?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like this with white people, but
Wow. Okay, go on.
okay, so I don't know if it's like this with white people, but Hispanics, you ask any Hispanic, maybe age 35 or older, all of them have ghost stories. I swear to God, all of them have ghost stories.
Every Hispanic person I've known has had a ghost.
yeah, it's like it's
Is
totally
it the Catholic stuff, you think?
probably, but it's like the most like ridiculous, obscure ghost stories. Like I remember like my grandmother telling me about somebody that she knew where, and this is like a folklore too, where like this guy was just so good at dancing and only the devil could be that good at dancing, blah blah blah. And then I guess like he would charm everybody, and then like I guess there was like one day where he took his boots off or something like that. Yes, he was wearing cowboy boots, and he had chicken feet. And it was the devil. I swear to God.
Why would that scare you one?
Well, there were other scary ones. No, there were some definitely scary ones, like where like somebody had like goat legs, or like where somebody
Chappelle.
yeah,
Black
or somebody's eyes would just like start glowing red, or like do you guys ever listen to Snap Judgment?
No.
Well, every year during Halloween they have these crazy stories, and there was this kid who was Mexican that went to go visit his Mexican family. There was this like circus that was going on in town, and like there was this circus cannon that went off, and like this clown just flying through the air, and I guess he like overshot his net or something like that. Stop laughing, because he overshot his net, splat on the ground, and he died right there, and everybody started laughing because they thought it was part of the show. And it was like that scene in Billy Madison where he just rolled over and he was like smiling, and he died smiling or something like that.
Do you remember?
Wait.
Oh, sorry.
So then fast forward later on that night, they heard like a rapping on the door, and turns out it was this clown, because they recognized the clown's like funny hair and makeup and
it's a dead giveaway.
Yeah, and his clothing was the same clown though,
Okay.
and it was all covered in blood. And then they locked the door, and they tried to shut the door and lock it, but he was like trying to get in. He was like speaking to them. He was like, don't be so mean. Let me in. And then they wouldn't let him in. And then finally, I guess a dog that had followed them from the carnival or something like that was outside, and then they heard this dog just die. And anyways, they ran upstairs. The clown, I guess, ran inside, and then the dad had like a shotgun and said he was going to shoot him. So then the clown jumped off the building, and then later the next day they found a dead dog, and where the clown had like landed, it was just black, like soot. Crazy.
The demon clown.
Wait, is this a
overshot his
movie, or-
landing.
No, this was a
No.
story on Snap Judgment.
This is a tall tale.
What's Snap Judgment?
It's a podcast.
Oh,
Dude, one so I had my ex-girlfriend her sister had a Hispanic boyfriend, and he was obnoxious. I fucking hated this guy.
What do you mean?
you talk about this guy a lot.
I
I've heard
know.
this several times.
Dude, he ruined my life for like a year.
It
But-
was definitely me.
I haven't known him for a year. He was talking. We were at this like get together, and he got the group. It was like it was during summer, and he's like, "Let me tell you a horror tale. This really happened to me back in Mexico City," because he would always pronounce things very
Was it like
Spanish.
Aaron Sanchez,
It was-
where he like slips in and out of his?
Oh, for sure. He'd like, "Hey guys, we're gonna go down the street, and if you want, I've got enchiladas."
It's the same thing. Like
This is
that's
my
like
take on the humble taco.
any Italian
Taco.
who's like at a cooking show. They're like, I'm going to put Parmigiano Reggiano on this.
Oh, those are the Italians.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The Italians,
Yeah.
like,
Italians.
yeah.
But yeah, so he starts telling a story about how there's this witch in town, and she has this long tongue, and she can suck your blood. And he has this like
I want to suck.
yo dick. It's almost like it's this super traumatic experience for him. Like he's telling a story, and he's like, every time I tell this, I just get really nervous because I never want it to happen again. And he's like, as we're falling asleep, and he's got this build up. He's built this story up for 10 minutes, and I'm sitting there like, everyone else is like, keep going. And he's like, I see a tongue come under the window, and then I blacked out. And he's like telling it like this, and he's like, and then when I woke up, there was a mark on it. And I just went, and no one else laughed but me. And I was like, get the fuck out of here.
Did you say that?
Yeah. I was like, I'm
How old
gonna
were you?
This was like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get another beer. You're full of shit. And he never liked me because of that too. Because like we had this big group, and he was telling the story too. But yeah, there's my Hispanic guy horror tall tale.
Ben's like a guy where if he didn't like you, he'd be a real asshole. I feel like.
Oh, what do you think I do for both of you?
You know what I'm saying?
He already is an asshole.
Well,
like
I mean,
us.
a real asshole. That's what I said.
Yeah, like where I make fun of you and like don't laugh.
Actually make fun of you.
Oh.
I beg your pardon, you're very big.
Is there a goat in here? So, I think as far as like different types of horror movies, we've covered basically all of them. Like,
Have we? We haven't done zombies, werewolves, goblins, trolls, ogres.
You're just
ghouls.
naming kinds of monsters.
I like werewolf movies.
you know what? We didn't really lean very heavily on slasher films.
We
We
did
haven't
it.
done slashers. We haven't done
I have-
Okay.
I have one prominent movie that I'd like to talk about too.
prominent.
Have you guys seen The Mist?
Loved
yeah.
it.
Yeah. So
Best ending.
that's what I was gonna say.
Best ending ever.
So we won't spoil the ending for you, but
Why not? It's been out for like 10 years.
But still, This is the ending.
Well, we don't want
ending.
this podcast to be like, I don't like listening to those guys because they just talk about the endings.
Well, I'm just going to tell you.
We're starting to develop.
Let me just tell anybody who's listening. It is my favorite ending to any movie I've ever watched. I can honestly say that.
Wow.
It's a very powerful ending, so I recommend watching it. Plus, the monsters are disgusting, and I think there's two parts to this this little movie. There's the part of the crazy bitch who's like getting all the
religious cult.
Getting all the people to join her religious cult in this little shopping center. There's that part, which is scary in itself because she's like super evil. But then also the monsters themselves are really gross, like the acid spiders.
The spiders are horrifying.
Dude, I thought they were fucking corny. I loved the movie, but I thought those dumb little spiders, they were like cute. Hey, what's up, cutie? And he's like,
shut up.
Dude, they were legitimately cute. Get out of here. I'd have one as a pet today.
But that movie is so fucking sketch and has such a good ending. I very much highly recommend it.
Another movie about a dimensional portal that opens up this gateway and these monsters come through. You know they made a show?
Yeah.
The Mist, yeah.
I watched 2 episodes. It was okay. It wasn't great, but it was okay. They cut it off after 1 season, though.
That's not good.
So, did you guys ever see an American Werewolf in London?
I saw a long time ago.
Yeah.
Dude, ultimate classic, man. John Landis, I think was his name, who directed it. That's one of the, like, dude, that scene, like, in that movie, it starts with they're, like, touring, and they're in England, like, walking through the moors, and they're in this little bar, and they're like, stay off, like, don't go off the path at night, don't go off the path. And his best friend gets mauled by this werewolf, and then he gets bit trying to save his best friend. That movie is so cool. It's so campy because, like, you have the half that the guy's accepting he's morphing into a werewolf, and the other half is that his dead best friend keeps coming to him, and he's like, you gotta kill yourself, dude. If you don't kill yourself, you're going to turn into a werewolf, and you're going to hurt innocent people, and you can't do that. I recommend both of you watch it, because I think it's cool to watch, like, with the knowledge we have now, and, like, with our tastes developed in movies.
That was one of the movies I was supposed to watch in my Vampire Werewolf class.
Dude, it was worth it. It's one of the smarter horror movies when it comes to, like, the whole roundabout context of the film.
You know, movie that I really enjoyed, both the original and the sequel.
What?
Pet Cemetery.
I don't want to be bad.
I need to watch it. That's one I never watched.
Cemetery. That has one of the most fucked up. It's got that guy who's like, "Oh, see, you gotta get out. Don't go to that pet cemetery."
It goes underground. Hey, man, to come back.
They come around. They ain't the same here. Come on, guy. So
Burn the house down to the ground, say.
That old guy ends up getting his Achilles tendon sliced.
Those are the worst.
And he's like, "Oh, see, ow."
Ah, you cut me, right?
Why you cut me, guy? What you being a buster all about that for?
A buster.
But yeah, that's a great movie. The sequel we talked about before we even started recording. Edward Furlong. I forgot who else was in that.
The cool guy from that movie, Sure Thing, with John Cusack. He was in
Jack
that
Black?
movie.
Nicolas Cage?
No.
I'm just naming actors.
I don't know. He actually is a pretty well-known actor. I just don't know the dude's name. And then what's the kid's name? The friend, the sidekick friend from Dig, the redhead kid. He was the one that got his face all melted off the motorcycle.
But I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've seen the second one.
And everybody dressed so cool in Pet Sematary too. I started wearing overcoats because of that.
I'm surprised.
The other cool thing was that what the fuck is his name? Gus, the stepdad. He was such an
Stepdads are the
asshole.
worst.
Yeah, they're never great.
Oh, this guy was the shittiest stepdad.
Was he like a military
officer.
guy?
No, he's a police. He's a sheriff or something like that. He came back and started killing everybody.
Oh, they bought him back? Dude, I can't remember that movie at all. You want to know a genre of horror film that I'm not a fan of because I think it's so oversaturated? Zombie movies.
Yeah.
I'm still a fan of them. They just have to be done well. What was it, Train to Busan or something?
I've heard it's good. I haven't seen it.
I need to watch that.
Is it on Netflix?
It's on Netflix.
Train to
I'm
Busan.
going to watch it.
Yeah, you gotta watch it.
It's supposed to be really, really good.
Okay.
You guys want to watch it?
Right now?
Well, I mean,
Let's go ahead. Play.
No. Yeah, well, we should watch it sometime maybe.
yeah.
I think the one, so I like innovation. We've talked a lot about The Last of Us. It's a really good zombie venture that's a video game that I think is very creative. I like creativity with zombie movies. In one series, it was a 28 Days series.
Yeah.
28 weeks later, the beginning of that movie is one of the most intense fucking beginnings of any movie. Dude, that score in that movie, you talk about a score for horror. 28 Days later and 28 weeks later, that like, it's called like In a Room Alone, or I used to have it on my iPod. But like, as they're running through this house, and all the innocent people are getting eaten and murdered and just beaten to death. And then the scene where he gives up on his wife and he looks
That's
back.
terrible.
She gets pulled.
Yeah.
And you know, like he's like, my wife just died, and he's sprinting through this field, and there's just a horde of zombies chasing
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, I
That
remember
music.
that.
He like very narrowly got away.
And that was
too.
the first 5 minutes
Yeah.
of that film. It did get a little cornier in that one. I thought 28 Days Later was better.
Yeah, for sure.
But 28 Weeks Later will always be a good horror movie, in my opinion, because of that first 5 minutes, or 10 minutes, however long it lasted.
Well, not only that too, but like, could you imagine being somewhere where you think is safe after all this mayhem took place, and then all of a sudden, boom, an outbreak occurs, and the people that are supposed to be protecting you are like sent there to annihilate everybody?
Or can you imagine being in their shoes? Like, if they would have left that kid out there to fuck off, they'd have lived.
Yeah.
They were nice. They let him
Yeah.
in, and that
Never do that.
yeah, dude. When you're in like post-apocalyptic world, little kid or not, you got to look out for number one, and that movie proved it, because they felt bad for the kid, and the kid came in, and they all fucking got murked.
Leave it to a kid to fuck everything up.
Honest
Yeah,
truth.
fuck kids.
Sorry,
True.
Scott.
Just kidding.
I heard on Feral
We
Movies.
love you, Oliver. I haven't met you, but sure. I have.
One super kind of interesting movie that's way different. That's kind of a horror is Cabin in the Woods. Have you guys seen that one?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Joss Whedon joint.
That was a
Wait,
smart
which one was Sean Hunter?
I heard
Nope,
it
it had
Oh, it's Cabin Fever.
it had Thor in it.
Yeah.
Liam Hemsworth.
Yeah.
It was a movie that explained why people behave erratically and stupidly in horror
Yeah.
movies.
No, that one was awesome.
Yeah,
actually.
exactly.
Yeah, that's funny.
Dude, you talk about a throwback to horror fans when they go in that bottom facility and
Yeah.
every monster gets
Yeah.
let loose. That's like, dude, that's a boner for me as a kid. Like
It
that's
had Eric from Billy Madison in it.
the
Bradley Whitford.
and he was funny. He was with
He was
he
good.
was with the stepdad from Step Brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had
Yep,
such a fun dude.
Yeah.
That movie was so like on the line of comedy and
And the
horror.
ending was so ridiculous.
Yeah, that pissed me off.
The monster
loved
comes
it.
out and starts killing, like, what's it, destroy the world?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the world ended because they couldn't
Yeah.
obey the horror tropes that we've set
Yeah.
in place.
I thought it was kind of
supposed
cool.
to be campy and fun,
Yeah.
and dude, that movie, it was literally a smart movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like combining humor and like all this nostalgia from movies we've seen, like Evil Dead, and like I think it was heavily influenced until they go in the base or the lab. Like that was basically Evil Dead. Like
Well, yeah, they're going through,
yeah.
remember?
Where they
There's,
happen
like,
to come across like their version of like a Necronomicon.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
they all had the choices to unleash what monster. Like
Yeah.
there was
Well,
one that
there's
was like Hellraiser, and there was one that was a werewolf.
There was a bunch of
Fucking
different like
Hellraiser.
items downstairs, and whoever picked up the certain item is what determined it.
Yep,
Dude,
and that was their
Hellraiser.
choice,
Yeah.
free will.
Yeah,
Did that scare the shit out of you guys?
Hellraiser is one of the most fucked
I
up
need to watch
ones.
that one because we were talking about that.
Those monsters are insanely scary.
Well, the whole concept behind this pleasure versus pain thing, like literally the what are they called, Cenobites.
Yep.
The Cenobites are just BDSM people to
Yeah.
a demon degree.
Yeah.
Like they fucking they don't do anything sexual. So I never understood the pleasure part of it.
I think it's because they're like naked, some of them.
No, they're all leather bound. Like it's literally BDSM people. There's a guy with all teeth, and
Yeah.
he just goes.
That's pretty good.
And there's a fat dude with the sunglasses. I don't get him. The chick with like the septum ring, and then Pinhead.
And isn't there one where like the skin on his head's like unzipped? Or-
That might have been in later movies. There's a lot of Hellraiser movies.
Yeah.
The first one, it was the Four. Whenever you solved the puzzle, the Four would show up. And
Until
they
you like solve it
basically
again or something.
no, they just fucking turned you into pieces. And the only reason that the whole point of the first one was the guy finally solved the puzzle. He was in like Vietnam or something,
Yeah.
and someone cut their hand on a nail, and the blood seeped underneath the floorboards where he was murdered,
Yeah.
and it turned him back to life. And then he wanted to resolve the puzzle. I gotta rewatch that. It's been a
Yeah,
long
me
time.
too. I kind of don't want to, but I kind of do at the same time.
The end of that movie is the main guy who killed the husband and turned into the husband. He has all these hooks pulling his head apart, and he goes, "Jesus wept," and then his whole body just gets torn to shreds, and it ends. It's a fucked up movie.
I gotta watch that one.
It's a very deranged horror flick. One of my personal favorite movies, though, while we're kind of wrapping things up here, I guess, is Child's Play, dude.
Yeah.
First one, the one Chucky movie they made to be scary.
Yeah.
I think they nailed it.
Yeah.
It was a very tense movie. It was.
And that series got really ridiculous.
It did, but Brad Dourif, who voices Chucky, I think has one of the most iconic voices in horror.
Yeah.
When you
Also,
hear his
iconic
voice,
looks. He looks scary.
he does, and he's been in other stuff. Like he was in the Halloween remake. He was in Alien Resurrection.
He was in X-Files.
Was he?
Yeah.
I think he's been in a good amount of stuff. Like his career is kind of B-movie-ish, but he's done well.
You know, the funny thing is, my grandmother got a Chucky doll. What the hell is it? My Little Friend
Good
or
Guy.
whatever. The Good Guy, yeah. She got one of those, not ever seeing the movie, so she was like, "Oh, this is cute." And then I remember seeing it in her house one time. I was like, "What the fuck?" And I was like 8.
My little sister was so petrified of Chucky that if she even saw the cover, she'd scream and cry. I remember we were like in a pawn shop and like it's Chucky 2 and it's just the side of the VHS. She's like,
That's gonna get some feedback. Do you know what's funny? There's a store on 82nd called Rogue Toys, and they specialize in toys from our childhood. So like my mom used to give me a lot of toys. I had the Jurassic Park compound from the first one. They have that there for like $50. I want to, but they have an original, like it's very, very much scaled down, but they have a Good Guy doll, not the Chucky, an original Good Guy package with the box, with the label. It looks just like Andy Barclay's toy in that movie.
Yeah.
It's like $85, and it's this big, and I want it, but I don't want to spend the money on it. But dude,
by this big, it's like 4 inches.
No,
tall.
it's probably like 8. Like I would. It's my wiener. But yeah, the Good Guy doll. I want to buy it, but Chucky was a big part of. I remember my mom. She rented me Child's Play 3 when they went to the army, and he cussed so much in the first like 10 minutes. She made me take it out, and I threw a temper tantrum, and then I couldn't watch TV for a week.
How did you kill him in the army one again?
So the first one, it was fire and gun. The second one, it was the assembly line. Yeah, in the Good Guy factory.
Yeah,
that's what I remember.
That one was crazy because you didn't know which one was him for a second.
The third one, they were at like the fair. I can't remember how they killed him. Because they go to this fair, I honestly can't remember. And then it was Bride of Chucky. Well, his face got smashed because in Bride of Chucky, she had the
he was all sewn up.
And then sewn it back up.
And it looked like pizza underneath or something, or like.
I always remember that scene in that Bride of Chucky movie where the guy like stumbles into traffic and gets hit by a semi and explodes.
I just watched that like a week ago.
Really?
Callie had never seen one Chucky movie, and I was like,
that was the one you showed her.
It was on, and I remember I loved the soundtrack because like Rob Zombie was on it and Marilyn Manson. I think they had like a really cool soundtrack.
I always remember how that song "Follow Me Up on a Baby."
Yeah, it did. That was a good movie. Stir of Echoes. Kevin Spacey, where he's all.
That was a weird.
Kevin Bacon. He's always got that song stuck in his head.
That's a weird movie.
And this girl got raped and murdered in his house, and that's like how she's like the repetition of the song is alerting him to like dig up her body and solve the case of her murder. Good movie. I liked it.
I don't watch that.
That's a weird one. Where are we at for time?
About over an hour.
Wow, good job. I feel like we've covered a lot of things. Are there any other movies you want to cover before we close out?
I mean, you got all of your Stephen King movies, which are
really
cool.
There's so many good horror movies.
It's good. I'm not a fan of Stephen King.
It is good. It was awesome.
The Mist was good. The It was okay. They them.
Even though Stand By Me wasn't a horror movie, it was based off a Stephen King book. That was good.
What would you peg your favorite Stephen King movie as?
Let me see here. I really did like Stand By Me.
Really? How about you? The Mist, I would say.
The Mist or the new It. I really like the new It.
Are you guys watching Castle Rock?
No.
It's good.
I will.
It's good, man.
Do you want to know my favorite?
Yeah. Shining.
Salem's Lot.
Oh.
Either of you seen it? It's about a vampire. It's a really creepy movie. Like, I think that and The Lost Boys are probably the best vampire movies.
The Lost Boys is for sure the best vampire movie. Second best.
Salem's Lot.
Second best is Blade.
Don't agree with that.
What?
It's not a vampire movie. It's Wesley Snipes being in an action movie that happens to have vampires he fights.
Fuck you.
So Salem's Lot.
Movie. I mean, he's a vampire.
Calm your tits. Salem's Lot.
He's the original Daywalker.
Salem's Lot. The vampire looked just like the Nosferatu vampire, which was kind of creepy because he was a creepy looking dude.
He was.
Do y'all remember with the 30 Days of Night?
I liked it and I didn't like it.
Same.
I'm very in the middle on that
Yeah.
I
one.
saw it, but it's
It
been
was a little
long
over
time.
the top.
I
It
love
was
the
like, I love
concept.
the gore.
I loved the idea.
Yeah.
These
Maybe-
vampires figured out this town was dark for 30 days.
Yeah. They go to town.
Barrow, Alaska.
Barrow, god damn it, we talked about this.
Katie
It's
has
not
the,
BHRR, it's
all the
BA.
graphic novels. that it was based
BARROW.
off. Sorry,
I've heard the graphic novels are
they
good.
look amazing.
Yep.
Wow.
Alright.
Oh,
well,
real quick, you reminded me. You know, Wesley Snipes was slated to MMA
Yeah.
fight. I was gonna say fist fight to MMA fight Joe Rogan one
to
time.
fist Joe Rogan.
Wesley Snipes almost fought Joe Rogan for like a ton of money.
I think Joe Rogan would have won. He's my hero, baby.
Shout outs.
Shout out to Robbie and Patrick.
Shout out to Panda and the Kooky one.
Yep.
I'm gonna stick with Mike Shinoda again this week. If you're listening, I love you.
Yep. Hey, well, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Oh, and listen to Feral Old Ladies. We're getting better.
Listen to
Oh,
Feral
yeah.
Ladies. The first episode's out. The second episode is garbage. The third episode will be out soon.
Well, we're gonna fix
Oh,
the
we
second one.
haven't fixed the second
We haven't even
episode yet,
broadcasted
Terry.
it.
We have one episode out, and we will most likely go over some taboo issues.
Yeah.
You gonna love it, I swear.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Bye. How terrific.
How
Terrific.
Is that it?
Yeah.